Yo, Mark Eller here, and today everybody, I'm going to talk to you about self-love and self-compassion, because over the years, those are two things that I learned were very important, and because they're two things that I struggled with for a long time, it was very detrimental to my mental health. I used to have a lot of empathy and compassion for other people, but I never learned how to have that compassion for myself. For those of you that don't know me, I'm a suicide survivor. That's how I lost my vision. September 12th, 2004, age 19, I attempted suicide by putting a gun to my head. So clearly it was a traumatic brain injury. After my brain injury, after going blind, it took me a lot to rehabilitate myself. So over the years, it was hard for me to forgive myself. I carried a lot of guilt and I carried a lot of regret. I would always just be beating myself up. While struggling rehabilitating myself, I would just blame myself. Basically just tell myself that I threw my life away, that I destroyed my life and that it was worthless. I would say and feel some really bad things about myself, but I noticed over the years, I actually believed them. The more I said that to myself, the more I believed it. I had this really nasty mantra going through my head all the time. I basically would circle, Mark, you're a sad, worthless, washed up, pathetic piece of... And after a long time, I believed it. I literally, when I would circle that thought in my head, I began to believe it. And you know what? It wasn't fair to me, because I didn't have that compassion for myself. I was already struggling enough as it was. It wasn't easy to rehabilitate myself from a brain injury, to rehabilitate myself after going blind. I was already suffering enough. I didn't need to make myself suffer more. I mean, the fact that in my childhood, at age 5, I was sexually abused. Age 19, I put a gun to my head. I was in a coma for 9 months. No, I'm sorry, 9 weeks. I was in a coma for 9 weeks, in the hospital for 3 months. It took me a lot to rehabilitate myself. I mean, my right orbital socket was completely shattered and had to be rebuilt. Both my optic nerves that connect my eyes to my brain were severed, which has left me totally blind. My left cheekbone was completely shattered. Both sides of my jaw broken and dislocated and needed to be wired back together. I had a traumatic brain injury. The bullet scraped my frontal lobes. I had constant memory loss. I was traumatized. You know, I already suffered enough as it is. Considering how much reconstructive surgery I have enough pains to remind me of things through the day. I don't need to make myself suffer anymore. Mentally and emotionally, I needed to learn how to forgive myself because I'm already struggling enough. Because you know what? I can't change it. It happened. It's my past. I can't change it. I can't go back in time and stop this from happening. So all I can do is forgive myself and know what happened and why, and I know that I love myself. I've never gone there again. It's been 18 years and I've never attempted suicide again, and I never will. Because you know what? God damn it, I love myself. That day and that time, I wasn't trying to take my life and go. I've learned how to have that self-love and self-compassion. I was able to forgive myself and do the things that make me happy. That's why I play music. That's why I play guitar. That's why I play drums. Rather than saying something mean to myself and believing it, when I start noticing, when I'm circling those thoughts in my head, Mark, you sad, worth it. No, I back it up. I reject that thought and I put it out of my head. And I go, Mark, you're sexy, you're awesome, you're amazing. I change my mantra and remind myself of who I am and what I am. I don't need to beat myself up more and destroy myself more. I've already been through so much. That's why I do the things that I love. I have self-love and self-compassion. I have compassion for myself too, because you know what? That day, I know I wasn't trying to kill myself. I was having an episode of mania. I was bipolar mania, episode of psychosis. Again, I was traumatized as a child. My whole youth growing up, I never talked about my mental illness. I was scared of people judging me. I was scared of people leaving me. I was scared I wasn't right. I had too much insecurities and didn't feel good about myself. I didn't know how to talk about it. I suffered a lot through my childhood. I was traumatized, and like I said, I had general depression. I had bipolar mania. I was traumatized, and none of this was ever treated or talked about. I never went to therapy. I never had a support system. I never actually had a treatment plan. That's why, you know what, I remind myself, you know what, now I see a psychiatrist. I go to therapy. I know that I have bipolar mania. I know that I have depression. And I actually, with those diagnoses, I have medications now. I know how to avoid my bipolar mania from happening. I know how to drag myself out of that depression. Just because I have depression doesn't mean I have to stay there. Sure, I'm depressed, but I have medications and I have tools and things to help me. I don't have to stay depressed. I don't have to be depressed. You don't have to be your diagnosis. You have that diagnosis so you can help manage it. That's what I do. I manage my mental illness. I manage my complex post-traumatic stress disorder because, God damn it, I love myself. That's what's most important, is I've learned how to love myself, and I have that compassion and that empathy for myself. I know what happened that day. I can't beat myself up. I'm not gonna beat myself up. I've suffered enough, everyone. I want you to know, I had an episode of bipolar mania. I couldn't stop it in that moment because I didn't have the tools. It's not my fault what happened. I've been able to forgive myself. I have reasons, I know why. Through therapy, through all these years, I've been able to retrace my steps and know what happened. I know my thought process, I know my feelings, and I know what happened. So I've never gone there again. I've been able to stop that thought process. I've been able to stop those patterns. When I notice my bipolar mania, I can stop it. When I'm having delusions and psychosis, I know how breathing techniques, I know how to step away from that. I know how to come back to reality and use my rational mind. Everybody, if I can do this, anybody can. If I can love myself and be happy and prosperous, anyone can. I don't want you to have to suffer and struggle the way that I did for so long. Remind yourself you're only human. It's not your fault, the things. It's a chemical imbalance. We can treat those things with medications and with therapy. It's not your fault you're suffering with those things. Don't make yourself struggle and suffer even more. You deserve love and you deserve happiness, everyone. That's why if I can do this, anyone can, everyone. Love yourself and be happy and prosperous, everyone. Mark my words, mental health awareness saved my life. Thank you, everyone.